Ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum. Yes. Holiday season is here, and that means we're towards the end of the year, and we have to pick the best integrated amplifier of 2022. You ready? Let's go. Now, there will be several videos after this video regarding the speaker of the year as well as the amplifier of the year. But this video will focus on the integrated amplifier of the year. And that goes to, drumroll please, bing, the Vincent SV-237MKII hybrid integrated amplifier. This beauty right here is Vincent Audio's newest design. Now, Vincent Audio, you probably may or may have not heard of it, but they focus on hybrid technology, meaning marrying tube technology with solid-state technology. Now, funny enough, I am not a fan of hybrid amplifiers or hybrid integrated amplifiers because the idea is that you want to combine tube and solid-state. So you want to get the mid-range and the glorious sound that tube gives with soundstage openness and stuff I rave about with tube amplifiers, right? If you saw my channel. And then have the bottom end of a solid-state amplifier. Punchy, dynamic, crisp, clean. But in practicality, I've never really came across a hybrid integrated amplifier. I've come across maybe a few, but not many that really does what it promises. And I hate the marketing phrase that even Vincent Audio uses, even though it's true in this case, best of both worlds. You know, the reason I don't like it is because for me, hybrid integrated amplifiers and amplifiers have always been like a miss for the most part from my experience, right? So usually for me, it's worst of both worlds. And that has been really like the going theme with hybrid designs from my experience. So for me, it is incredibly hard to come by a hybrid integrated amplifier that I actually like and even award the best product of the year award. But the Vincent Audio did it right on this unit to make it sound what I am looking for. And we'll talk more about that in the later part of this video. So when I got the Vincent Audio 237MKII in, I was like, okay, it looks cool, let's try it out. And I'm telling you, out of all the amplifiers I have, it is singly the most used since it got here. And I've paired this thing up with Orendel, which is one of my favorite speakers. Spoiler. And also the now famous Bucard S400 Mark II, and also the KEF LS50 Metas, which is again relatively hard to drive. The Q Acoustic Q50, which is a really nice speaker that I am yet to review on this channel. The Tecton Lower with the beryllium dome tweeter, and also I was trying out with this Triart speaker. It's a secret sauce speaker that I picked up from the Toronto Audio Fest, so I won't spoil it too much. But so I have tried with all these speakers, but I've also tried more than this. These are just few examples, and the Vincent Audio sounds good to amazing, blissful on most of them. And if you're asking if this can drive X speaker, yes, it can. This outputs 150 watts into 8 ohms and 250 watts into 4 ohms. And the first 10 watts of this amplifier is pure Class A. It uses one 12AX7 and two 6N1P tubes, and it is displayed in this beautiful glass. It's beautiful. Do you see me drooling? Yeah, it's beautiful. It comes with a nice metal remote. It's not heavy, but it's nice metal, it's quality. Build quality wise, it is excellent. It is built like a tank and it has 6 different inputs and also has a pre-out, which means you can use this as a pre-amplifier as well, or to hook up a subwoofer if you desire. Now it also has a Burr Brown chip inside, which means it is also a DAC, but it only has coax and optical inputs. So it doesn't have USB, so that is a downside. And often with these integrated units, the DAC they use is mediocre. But on the Vincent Audio, I actually like the DAC inside. It is using Burr Brown chips, which is one of my favorite chips that is off-the-shelf DAC chip, which means that you get pretty decent of a DAC right off the bat that sounds natural, that goes along with the rest of the sound signature of this unit, which is that warm, full-body sound that we'll talk later in this video. But the DAC chip perfectly complements that. Usually sometimes I get like hybrid integrated amplifiers and it's like, oh yeah, it's all about that tube, but then it has like Sabre DAC chips inside that sounds bright and I'd rather bypass it. I like that they chose the right type of DAC chip to kind of benefit from its natural thing that it's good at. And Burr Brown chips are known to be warmer, lusher, and kind of more organic. As well, it is able to use Bluetooth, so if you want to connect it quickly with your phone or your other devices to play music, you can do that. But however, when I was using it, I didn't use the Bluetooth too much. I just checked it to see if the connection was good and if it was working, and I can attest that it works fine and it sounds pretty darn good. Now, this unit is using the Tube 61NP as the preamplifier on the second stage of the preamplifier. So basically, it is doing exactly what I've been doing in my system for a very long time that I find very enjoyable, which is using a quality tube preamplifier with a quality solid-state amplifier. And let me tell you, when you get that combination right, where you have a nice tube preamplifier that pairs perfectly with a nice solid-state amplifier, you really do get the best of both worlds. You really get that really nice high frequency and then mid-range and bloom, full bodiness and soundstage of the tube, while you get the focus and tight bass of a solid-state amplifier, kind of making it best of both worlds. Yes, there are compromises. It's not as wide or deep or holographic as a full-on tube amplifier, but it's much less veil. And what I mean by that is sometimes with tube amplifiers, you can find the imaging to be a little bit more less focused. It's hard to localize things because it's like so holographic. And that's why some people don't like that about tube amplifiers, as well as the bass performance being a little bit not as tight as a solid-state amplifier, even though that has gotten a lot better these days. So that's why when you marry a tube preamplifier section with a solid-state amplifier section, you can get some really nice results. Mind you, in theory, usually it doesn't do all that good, like I said in the beginning of this video, but Vincent Audio has managed to do it. And not only did they manage to do it, they did an excellent job. The sound quality on this unit is absolutely exceptional. I absolutely love this unit. In fact, this unit is something that I consider a jackpot, really, because it has that sound characteristic of a tube amplifier, like a full-on amplifier. I am not talking about comparing it to integrated units. I use this over amplifiers, like monoblocks, for the most part of all the reviews I've done and my own enjoyment, listening sessions that I do to relax and stuff. This is my go-to amplifier or integrated amplifier. It just sounds right to me. And you know what? If I find a speaker to be bright, or I want a little bit more bass, or dial down the bass based on positioning, well, guess what? This tone control, like I said, works extremely well on this unit. And really, my kind of 2 cents is you bring the speakers out if you can, and then crank up the bass. And now you get deep, wide soundstage, slamming bass. And I never thought I would be a fan of tone controls, because usually when I use tone controls, it kind of degrades the overall sound staging a little bit. And that has been my experience with equalizers as well. And we'll talk more about that in a separate video that is coming up. But this tone control doesn't seem like it's degrading soundstage all that much. If anything, it is actually helping with the sound staging, because you can bring the speakers forward and then crank up the bass so that you get that bass presence even though you have the speakers way out in the room. So if you have that flexibility, this tone control really works well. And usually another reason I don't like tone control is because it depresses like a specific range of frequency that is usually not very well implemented, and it kind of like does work with certain speakers, but doesn't work with majority of the speakers. This I've tested with majority of the speakers and it works really well. It almost feels like it's like notching it, right? Instead of like flattening and making a dip in the frequency. Anyways, enough rambling about the tone control. It just works fabulously. The soundstage is wide and deep. It is glorious. And I have nothing to complain about this in terms of sound staging. It makes speakers sound wider and deeper. And usually that is at the expense of pinpoint imaging, but this is clean. It is full, warm-bodied, it is luscious, never bright or aggressive or analytical. It is just smooth sailing, but at the same time, it has those sparkles, it has that finesse, it has that emotion going, and you can definitely tell that someone sat there and listened with their ears to tune this to perfection, because when I listen to this, I get emotional. It involves emotion. I don't sit here and go, oh yeah, this and that, but it has all those characteristics: pinpoint imaging, large soundstage, deep, wide, atmospheric, warm, and the tonality is on the warmer side, but in a good way. It's really lush and pure sounding to my ears. And the bass, God, the bass on this smacks. No, it's not the fastest in the world, but it is tight and it is round and it is full-bodied, and it really rocks your world with speakers that are capable of producing that bass. Like when I paired it up with the Orandos, for example, big towers, opened up the soundstage on that speaker, as well as making that bass really punch and dynamic, making you feel like you're listening to a bi-amping system. This type of performance I heard is similar to a bi-amped system I've heard one time. A lot of people power their top portion, like mid-range and high frequency, with tube amplifiers and then run an electronic crossover and use the SolidState Amplifier to run the bass. Now that's much more complicated and that is much more involved of a process, but this is the feeling I get with this single integrated unit. So how can I not be excited? And I can promise you that the high frequency on this unit is nothing short of amazing. It has air, it has sparkle, it has just the right amount of brightness. But hey, brightness is different for different folks, right? I may like a little bit brighter than you, or you may like it a little bit brighter than me. Well, remember I told you about the tone control? Works fabulously to bring down highs or increase highs without feeling like there's a huge dip, like I said, in the frequency. It retains air, it retains sparkle, it retains detail, even when I use the tone control on this unit, which just makes it that much better and flexible and easy for me to recommend to my friends. And talking about recommending to friends, one of the reasons I'm reluctant to recommend Tube, especially to newcomers into this hi-fi world, is because sometimes you need to change them when, after many hours in this case, because the tube they're using is very long lasting. But really, the real reason is because it's costly to replace. Sometimes they cost a lot of money to replace. Well, they're using just one 12AX7 in this unit and two 6N1P. Again, those tubes don't really require tube rolling that much because there's not many replacement tubes. There's no equivalence as much. So all you really need to worry about is buying the 6N1P from Tube Depot, for example, and really they don't cost all that much. And that brings me to tube rolling. Okay, so I did tube roll, but not the 6N1P. Like I said previously, the 6N1P is not really a tube that you can tube roll because there's not many brands out there that makes it. And no, it is not equivalent to 6922 or 6DJ8 like some people say. It's different. It draws different voltage, so you can't use it. So all you have to do is replace the 6N1P when it goes bad. Just leave it as is in this unit. They're using new old stock. It is perfectly fine. I don't suggest you change it unless it goes bad, which wouldn't for a very long time. The only tube that you would tube roll is the 12AX7, and I did a few of them. So I have these tubes right here, which is the JJ tubes that come with the unit back there. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of tubes that I could use, but I used few like Millard or Gold Lion. But I personally found on this unit, my favorite was this RFT tube. Now this is new old stock, but you can also get it readily available online, and I'll link to a few stores that carry this. It's an excellent tube. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful tube, and it's not expensive, and it works really well with this unit. It lends itself to that warm sound. So if you're a fan of that warm sound, this really kicks it up a notch in terms of that warmth and making it more tube sound like, while retaining that bass and sound staging and all that I was talking about. It's just a little bit warmer with this tube, and it really makes the experience more involving and full-bodied, and really it's just a nice tube. And it's not a huge upgrade, but it's a nice upgrade for the little amount of money you're spending if you decide to tube roll. So again, easy to recommend because it doesn't involve a lot of money changing tubes or getting really good sound out of these right off the bat without tube rolling. I mean, the Mark II is a revised, better version of the Mark I. I haven't really experienced Vincent Audio's hybrid amplifiers or integrated amplifiers before. This is the first unit that I heard, and I'm in love. I absolutely love it. Enough to give the Best Integrated Amplifier Award of 2022. So that's pretty much it. I could go on and on about this amplifier and how good it sounds and how wonderful it is, but I have to stop somewhere, don't I? I can't just keep going on and on and on about how great this is. But I wish I can. I wish this video was an hour long of just me ranting about how great this is, because I can. Don't think I can't. I can. But that's it for me. I'll stop here, and I wish everyone a happy holiday season. I hope you're enjoying yourselves, and if this video was helpful to you, make sure to click that like button. Do it for the holiday season, come on. It helps me out and helps this channel out tremendously. And make sure you're subscribed for future videos, including more product of the year release videos, which I'm very excited about to introduce. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Until next time, peace.